All right, this is Todd Owens with Capital Chaos TV, and we're here tonight with David Vincent from Morbid Angel. Thanks for taking some time to be with us, Dave. How you doing?
Oh, my pleasure, man. Looking forward to putting on a great show in San Francisco and moving through the Southwest on this wonderful 20th anniversary of the Covenant record, which we're having a lot of excitement. I mean, the shows have been really good. Fans have been really supportive, and we're having a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's. I just wanted to spend a little time on that. First on the tour, you've been. It's about 3 weeks. I guess you got about 10 days to go. And one thing I wanted to ask was that you didn't bring any direct support with you on this tour, and you guess you got some local bands in each venue or each city that are. Or is that your guys' idea, or what's the story with that? Or
actually, that was our idea. We wanted to have a chance to, have almost more of an evening with Morbid Angel, but we want to kind of give back and allow the local promoters to select up and coming bands in the different regions, to give them an opportunity rather than jumping on like a festival style tour where they have to go on at 7 o'clock in the as soon as doors happen or whatever. They actually get direct support for the band, which gives them more of a full house, and it's kind of giving back to the metal community, if you would.
Great opportunities for the bands in each city.
We've had some very good bands so far. I've been pleasantly surprised in some of these cities, I'm glad to see that people are out there working hard, working on their songwriting and their craft. And this is like the next generation of metal people that are pushing the envelope that much more. So it's all good.
And I assume it was your guys' idea to do this 20th anniversary tour. And 20 years later, and in some ways it's probably hard to believe that it's been 20 years since you did that album, but what does the album mean to you? How's it been kind of revisiting it? And I guess some of the tracks that you're playing from that album on this tour have either rarely been played or never been played, I guess. But you could.
Yeah, that's true. There's one track that we played only during the Covenant tour. And then there's a track that we had never played live. It's always difficult when, as you put out more records, then you want to play a few new songs, and then you start touching on other things, and then one gets replaced by another, and you have, 9, 10 CDs out, and then you run into a problem where, you can't play for 5, 6 hours, and sure enough, somebody, why don't you play this song from this record? And so announcing that this is what the tour is, and then we'll add some songs additionally after the fact, but it lets people know that they're exactly what they're going to get, so not necessarily many surprises.
The next, and we'll just talk about this briefly, I'm sure you know it's coming, just a situation with Pete, and is he officially not in the band, or is it,
Pete is no longer in Morbid Angel. Pete's concentrating on Terrorizer, and Timothy Young is the drummer for Morbid Angel, and he's doing a great job. And we're pressing forward.
Okay. I did want to mention the Terrorizer record, because Pete's resurrected Terrorizer, I guess, and interesting enough, I was surprised to see that you were on the album. So obviously you still have a working relationship with Pete. Any thoughts on the I guess it's Hordes of Zombies? It's the came out last year, the Terrorizer.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was happy he asked me if I'd be willing to play on the record, and of course I said yes. It's a good record, and it's obviously a different style than Morbid Angel, but that's okay. We like all kinds of music, so I'm glad that he's actually out touring again, and making his way, and this is what he does. He plays drums, and he's damn good at it. So I'm glad that he's found his place. And that he's feeling good about it, and he's getting a lot of support, obviously, from the fans. So it's everyone wins.
And then briefly, if you could just talk about that initial group of you got for you with Jesse and Oscar, that the initial Terrorizer, World Downfall. Probably an exciting time, because that was around '89 when
it was
before Altars, and I guess
actually we recorded that right after Altars. I remember delivering the tapes to Digby over in England, and he was like, what about this Terrorizer? What about this Terrorizer? So we got everyone together and rehearsed it for a couple weeks, and recorded the record very, very quick, very sort of DIY punk rock style, and it's interesting, that it's had the legs that it has over the years. I mean, it's a cool record. It's a very cool project.
Very influential to a lot of bands, I believe. And as long as we're talking about the early days a little bit, just the early days of Morbid, and I guess Trey formed the band, or the first incarnation in about 84, and you came on board in 86. Mm-hmm. Did you know Trey, or how did you guys come together? And then just maybe a little bit to talk about.
Well, it's a long story. I heard a lot of their material, and I liked it a lot. And through sort of, it's a long story. But long story short, we all started working together, and then we got Pete, and then the rest is history. Recorded Altars, and went on perpetual tours.
Was there certain bands in that maybe mid to late 80s period that you were listening to, or what was influencing you guys, or what was driving you? Obviously, I mean, you guys were kind of coming up with a new style of music, and just if there was any influences or bands.
Well, I mean, everyone listens to music. I mean, I'm as much of a music fan as I am a musician. But again, when it comes to sort of what we were doing, we looked inward. We weren't really trying to sound like anyone else. And I think that's been, part of the key to our success is just doing what we do. Because, sort of in the early days of death metal, most bands did sound different. Even the people who were, around, Florida. I mean, Chuck Schuldiner, Obituary, what was it, Atheist. Everyone sounded different. And there was a big difference in the style, the tonality, the type of riffs, the overall sort of atmosphere. And I always thought that was cool.
I was going to say, it reminds me a little bit of if you look at the early thrash bands, that they all kind of had their own sound. Metallica, Slayer, Overkill, they were all different. They were all thrash, but it kind of a little bit like the early days of death metal. But I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, and I agree with you. I think things sound a lot more homogenized these days. But certainly thinking back, we weren't trying to sound like anybody other than us. That's a culmination of just rehearsing for 5-6 hours a day and just honing our own craft. But I'm pleased with the way everything's gone. I think it's been a really fun ride, and there's a lot of younger bands that come up and opine that they were really influenced by a lot of these things, and that's cool. If we can give a gift back, if our creativity can spawn creativity in someone else, it's a nice gift. No different than what Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper and some of these people did for me as I was growing up. So
awesome. So the last album, Illid Divinum Insanus, it's been about 2.5 years. So maybe just quick thoughts now. I know at the time there's a lot of chatter about the album, and what, looking back, you still, just your general thoughts 2.5 years later down the road.
About the record?
Yeah.
I like the record. I like all the records. And a lot of people have come around, they're like, listen to it again, and I really, I don't know why everyone was so negative about it. Neither do I. I mean, sometimes people sort of have in their mind what they think they want something to sound like, but the difference is that Morbid Angel has always done things a little different than the other people have. So,
indeed. What about new material? Are you guys working on anything new, or?
We're always working on new stuff. I don't have any announcements to make right now, but stay tuned.
You might not confirm this or whatever, but have you done any recording on this tour, or is there any?
No.
No. Okay, so no plans to release audio or video or anything.
No.
And another question about just the current state of metal today, or death metal, or just maybe your thoughts, if any current bands that interest you.
Well, I mean, there's a whole host of bands that I like, but I kind of shy away from saying that I like this kind of. It's not about a style of music. It's about individual artists that are making stuff that that moves me. Currently, probably one of my favorite metal bands is Septic Flesh from Greece. I think they're phenomenal. interesting songwriting. And I actually had a chance to work with Christoph's on his side project, and I didn't even know what it was. He said, "Hey, we're doing something. Would you be part of it?" I said, "Sure." I didn't even know what it was going to be. I said, "No, it's great. Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be awesome." So.
Speaking of side projects, there's also is it Nero 5468, something that you're working on or have been working on?
Yeah, this is something that we've been, it's a lot of, the difficult thing with that is that everyone has very busy schedules. So getting on the same page, I went over to Sweden for a little while over the summer. And now, obviously, Nicholas is in the studio now for the new In Flames record. And Adi is on tour with his band. So it's hard for everyone to schedule, finding that time when there's a window that no one has anything to do other than commit to this. So another thing that's ongoing.
Any details or hints about style, or you just?
Well, it's definitely not Morbid Angel, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
All right. Do you have a favorite Morbid Angel album yourself? I know it's a tough question.
That is a tough question because every one of them represent a sort of a different period of growth and where someone is at a certain time. I like them all for different reasons. Like, sure, I can think about, oh boy, I wish I could go back and do this and do that and make these little changes, but that would just ruin the sort of the purity of the moment. I don't know. I can't answer that. I wish I could. It would make it easy for you, but it's definitely not easy for me.
Yeah, sorry, it's a good question. I would say Domination is my favorite, but I love all of them. And back then, so there was that fifth album that you guys did, or I don't know if you call it the proper album, the live album, Entangled in Chaos, which was recorded on '95 on the Domination tour. And I just wanted to say I saw you guys on that tour in San Francisco at the Trocadero, and with Dissection and At the Gates opening. So it was just, what a phenomenal lineup. I don't know if you have any memories of that tour. Or
Yeah, there's a lot of, I tell you, some of these tours that we've done and that we've, gotten together with this band, that band, and put some really, nice packages together and just gone out and just slaughtered every night. I mean, that particular tour, I remember being very brutal. Yeah, good memories.
3 very different bands, but very brutal bands.
Yeah, good memories.
And then lastly, just wanted to talk a little bit about gear, amps that you're using, and then I know you're a Dean guy now. You've been for several years now, so maybe talk about Dean guitars or basses.
Yeah, they make my basses for me. It's my own design, very hands-on, and it's just very comfortable for me. It plays well, sounds well, and it works. Works for really any kind of music. I mean, I sort of have it set up for me, but other people who have no inclining for metal at all have told me that they really like the bass a lot. So it's cool. I mean, if I didn't like it, it'd be my own fault. So.
And for amps?
For amps, I'm using currently a company from Brazil called Meteoro. And aside from the amps, I just have just one effect from a Dunlop. It's called a M80, and that's the only thing. Just to put a little growl and grit into the DI sound. That's it.
All right. Well, that's all I had for tonight, and I just want to say thanks again, David. And is there anything that you want to add to the people watching out there?
I do. Thanks a lot for all the memories and all the support for so many years now. We're here for you.